Breaking. The U.S. may close one base in Spain or Germany. Okay.
First, a quick good to see all of you here today. Before I discuss the ceasefire with Iran, I have a quick update from the First Lady of the United States.
Oh, yeah?
Yesterday marked the very first conviction under the Take It Down Act, landmark legislation that First Lady Melania Trump played an instrumental role in getting passed that protects victims from non-consensual, AI-generated, sexually explicit images, cyber stalking, and threats of violence. This is a huge achievement for the First Lady, and I know the President is very proud of his wife's efforts.
What? How do I get on this act? Wait, excuse me, who do I contact? Cyber stalking? Harassment? What?
Getting this critical legislation passed to protect America's youth. So we thank the First Lady for her efforts.
Youth? What, only kids get protection? Okay, f you.
And we hope that others will report on this historic conviction yesterday. With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the President and our incredible military made happen. From the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's warfighters, the United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days.
Is that's the measure for success? Is if you hit the ship date? Holy fuck. It's 6 weeks, boys. Ship it. That's it. Merge and ship. Let's go. We're there. Hell yeah. Okay.
The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years compared to where it was 6 weeks ago prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. We destroyed the vast majority of Iran's ballistic missiles, launcher vehicles, and long-range attack drones through...
Destiny has no idea what merge means, by the way. Merge is when you take two, if you're on GitHub, GitHub is also a programming language. Oftentimes you want to combine multiple projects and put them on the same plate. So you'll get your forks out, and then after you fork all the projects, you merge them into a master project. Well, we don't call them master branches anymore. We call them main, but fucking retard.
More than 450 strikes on ballistic missiles and approximately 800 strikes on Iran's drone launching units and storage facilities. In total, more than 13,000 targets across Iran were struck. Again, this is in the matter of just 38 days. Meanwhile, the Iranian Navy was completely annihilated. The United States destroyed more than 150 naval vessels in total, including 16 entire classes of Iranian warships. Despite once being the largest undersea force in the Middle East, Iran now has 0 submarine vessels. 97% of Iran's once massive inventory of more than 5,000 naval mines has also been targeted and destroyed. Iran's air forces are functionally and operationally irrelevant at this point, after the United States maintained total air dominance over their country for weeks on end. To underscore the significance of this, before Operation Epic Fury, the Iranian Air Force would fly between 30 to 100 flights per day. Today, that number is 0.
I'm sorry. What? Hold on. I'm sorry. I hate her. The stop-start engine has become an annoyance to many American drivers who argue that it makes driving feel unnatural, jerky, and unenjoyable. The feature, designed to lower auto emissions, is set to be eliminated by the White House. Well, first of all, doesn't it also save like on gas and everything too? Why would you... Can't you just turn this off in most cars? Or do cars not offer the feature to turn off the auto stop thing? Why would the White House eliminate the feature? Was this feature brought to us by executive order, or? Start and stop is annoying and nonsensical. If anybody really wants to reduce emissions, time the traffic lights so you don't have to sit at about every red in California, and Envy is Nevada, right? Is there another state I'm missing? Why are there a lot of stoplights in Nevada? For Los Angeles? Is that, or not LA, I'm sorry. Las Vegas? What? Who goes driving in Las Vegas? Why did he bring up Nevada? This is a bot. It's a bot. It's a bot. It's government's greatest contributor towards the necessary emissions, not to mention wasting tons of time. It's different car to car. In my girlfriend's RAV4, I have to turn it off every time. My Cayenne, I have to command start stop on if I want it on. Trust me, homie, it's unbelievably annoying. You don't know the struggle without this feature in your old-ass car. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was fine when I had it, but it stopped working like 3 months after I had my car, and I don't know why. Supposedly, if your battery is not the greatest and the voltage is dropping too low, it'll never turn back on, but... So, I guess I really can't give a strong opinion on it. How much do you get per gallon? Like 20 miles per gallon? Listen, it's not the best. If I'm ultra tryharding on a long drive, I can get like 26 or 27. Otherwise, it's around 20.
Iran's ability to fund and support its terrorist proxies has been greatly reduced. At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons. Prior to the start of this successful operation, Iran was aggressively expanding its short-range ballistic missile arsenal. Through these weapons and its navy, Iran was attempting to build a military buildup around their country that would pose an imminent and existential threat to the United States military assets in the Middle East, our allies in the region, and ultimately the free world. Iran was pursuing this dangerous and aggressive strategy for one reason: to hold the entire world hostage to its terrorist ambitions. The Iranians aim to use their expanded military capabilities as a shield around their country to continue achieving their ultimate goal internally, building nuclear bombs. But their murderous and evil plans have been blown up, quite literally and figuratively, along with their military, their nuclear program, and most of their senior leadership, including the former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Their command and control structures were also massively disrupted after being struck more than 2,000 times. Many of their remaining leaders are paralyzed in fear and no longer enjoy the freedom to move around their country freely and meet openly. Thanks to the
How do you ultra try hard and get more miles per gallon? I don't know. You drive like around 60 miles per hour, not much faster, not much slower. You don't floor it when you're trying to accelerate. You always smoothly accelerate. You engine brake as much as possible. You try to like roll towards the lights instead of driving right up to it, stopping and starting. You can try harder.
Matched exilized in fear and no longer enjoy the freedom to move around their country freely and meet openly. Thanks to the unmatched excellence of our warriors at the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, the world has just witnessed a historically swift and successful military triumph.
What's engine braking? On manual cars, so engines are made of insanely powerful steel, right? Like, you ever see like the dark marks whenever you're driving down any highway street, especially, you kind of see how like the middle of the lane is darker. When you engine brake, you push something called the clutch, and when you're depressing the clutch all the way, what it does is it drops the engine out of the bay just a little bit so that the bottom of the engine will kind of drag on the pavement, and then that slows the car down because your engine kind of functions as a brake when it's on the street, basically. This is why whenever you're like driving near small towns, they'll always have signs that say no engine braking, because it's really loud, especially for semis that are engine braking, because that dragging of the engine on the street makes so much noise.
President Trump started Operation Epic Fury with strategic military objectives, and the United States has clearly achieved them. As we mark this progress, we also remember and honor the 13 American heroes who laid down their lives in this noble effort. I know President Trump and our grateful nation honors their ultimate sacrifice, and we will never forget them. May God bless their families. The valiant efforts of all of our incredible service members created maximum leverage for the President of the United States, allowing he and his leadership team to engage in tough negotiations over the past couple of weeks that have now created an opening for a diplomatic solution in long-term peace in the Middle East.
Wow.
The President's maximum pressure and the leverage created by the success of Operation Epic Fury.
What is the actual reason for no engine braking? That the brake light doesn't come on? I think the real life reason is because it is loud. Especially I think when trucks do it. I don't know why it's really loud. I don't know if they don't have... I mean, they have a lot of gears, don't they? I think it's because of noise usually. Right? But I don't know why it would be louder, because higher RPM equals louder. Yeah, but why would a truck... Why would the RPM have to go so high unless the ratios are really far off from all of the gears? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't even know if that's the reason. I was just told it's because it's really loud that you're not supposed to engine brake. There's signs saying no engine braking when you're approaching small towns and stuff.
led to the Iranian regime asking for and ultimately agreeing to a ceasefire proposal with the United States. Iran could no longer tolerate being bombed or taking the gamble of what was to come following President Trump's 8 p.m. deadline last night. Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz, and as the president said, we have received a proposal from the Iranians that has been determined to be a workable basis on which to negotiate. I've seen a lot of inaccurate coverage today from the media about these negotiations and these plans already.
Is this a manual thing? My guess is automatics, probably automatically engine brake, because they're always kind of in gear. Is my guess. I don't know 100%, but...
So let me be clear and correct the record. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false. With the president's deadline fast approaching and the United States military completely decimating...
Diesel engine braking is a completely different mechanism. Okay.
Iran with each passing hour, the regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward a more reasonable and entirely...
They have a special valve that closes when they turn on the Jake brake. It's technically different than regular engine braking. Lots of people bring up the Jake brake. I have no idea I don't know what the Jake brake is or what's different in a, semi. I have no clue.
Iran with each passing hour, the regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward a more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate and to align it with our own 15-point proposal. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd.
Wow.
The president will only make a deal that serves in the best interest of the United States of America. And he as a negotiating team will focus on this effort over the next 2 weeks, so long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open with no limitations or delays. These extraordinarily sensitive and complex negotiations will take place behind closed doors over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would strongly advise the media against running with narratives that have no basis in fact. What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they communicate to the United States, the president, and his team privately. Never underestimate President Trump's ability to successfully advance America's interests and broker peace. President Trump has a proven track record of achieving good deals on behalf of the United States and the American people, and he will only accept one that puts America first. With that, I will take your questions today. I'm sure you have a lot of them. In our new media seat, we have Shane Harris with the AMAC Newsline. Shane, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Caroline. 2 questions for you. First, following the president's announcement of the ceasefire, if this is indeed the end of hostilities in Iran, what is the president's message to the American people about what was achieved for our country through Operation Epic Fury?
Sure. I think I just laid out a significant portion of that in my opening remarks. 6 weeks ago, the president looked the American people in the eye directly, and he told them that he launched this operation to take out the imminent threat that was posed by Iran. And that threat has now been greatly destroyed. Their navy, their missiles, their defense industrial base, and their desire and their plan to build a nuclear bomb inside their country is no longer going to be allowed, can no longer happen, thanks to the remarkable success of Operation Epic Fury over the course of the last 38 days. That has been absolutely achieved, and now we're moving into the next phase of this, which is a negotiating period to put some fine points on this and to hopefully broker an agreement that can achieve long-term peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, and then second, what is the president's message to American seniors who have a much higher voter participation rate and they're likely to be a key swing vote in the midterm elections?
Well, the president loves our seniors across the country, and as you know, the president signed the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut last year, which greatly reduced taxes on Social Security for our seniors. In fact, thanks to the Working Families Tax Cut, nearly 90% of seniors will no longer pay tax on their Social Security. That's a huge win for our seniors and also for our middle class and working families across
the seniors, the wealthiest group in America, need more money. Yes, please give them more money. Why would we have the wealthiest people? How? Okay, no, sorry. I'm half trolling. I was trolling my interbreaking thing. Let me be serious though. Okay. Imagine if you're a senior trying to buy your 5th house and you can't do it because you have to pay taxes on your Social Security money. Fuck. How fucked would that be? But now, thank God, nothing's standing between you and that 4th rental property.
The country with the no tax on tips provision and the no tax on overtime. Next week is tax week. You'll hear a lot from the president about how his policies have benefited the American people, and I'm proud to report that the president will be traveling next week to the great states of Nevada and Arizona to tout this historic accomplishment over the course of the next week. Thank you for being here, Shane. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Iranian state media is saying that Iran has now closed off the Strait of Hormuz today in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. What's the White House response to that? And you just listed many military successes. I understand that, but strategically, how is the administration arguing that Iran does not have more economic leverage than it did before the start of the war?
Sure. Well, with respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Caroline, the president yesterday threatened that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire deal wasn't reached, understanding that Iranian leaders have previously said death to America. But why is it appropriate for the president of the United States to use that kind of language when talking about civilian targets? And was the president mocking Islam by signing on?
He was trolling, bro. It was just a troll.
Wouldn't that antagonize?
Why do we have such buzzkills in the press pool today. My God.
Muslim allies across the world.
Well, I understand the questions about the president's rhetoric, but what the president cares most about is results. And in fact, his very tough rhetoric and his tough negotiating style is what has led to the result that you are all witnessing today. Iran publicly acknowledging last night that they have agreed or that they wanted the ceasefire with the United States because they no longer could tolerate being bombed by our very powerful and lethal military, and that they have committed to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz.
Metalloid, literally nothing you're saying matters because there's no way any of this is real. I do not believe that any of this is real. This is like, this is like Inception. We're 3 dreams deep right now that we're waiting to wake up from. We're going to wake up from whatever this dream is, back to the other world where we're at war with Iran for I don't know what the fuck the reason is. Then we're going to wake up from that dream. Okay. Then we're back in the world of Trump with the tariffs on the whole world and every fucking other thing going on. Then we have to wake up from that dream and elect a real president and get out of, I don't know. We're incepting ourselves. I don't even know if my reality is real right now. Okay. Maybe this is my dream state. Maybe I'm in the dreams and it's punishing me for playing too many video games by making all the politics just goofy and ridiculous and stupid.
Which the president will hold them accountable for, and it's something the administration is closely monitoring in real time. Danny.
Should the world not take his word seriously?
The world should take his word very seriously and
I wish people would press on this more. So what is it? When Donald Trump makes these exaggerated statements on Twitter or Truth Social, he's trolling and not serious, but also he makes tough statements like that so that people will take him seriously and negotiate. What is it? Because every time he says things like, I'm sorry, it's just so funny to imagine waking up in the morning and President Kamala Harris, I'm like reading her Twitter and she's like, today we're ending a civilization. I'm like, that's totally something she would do. Like, where the fuck are these people getting this idea from? I'm sorry. There are so many dumb lefties. God, Mehdi Hassan was on a tear of just the worst tweets I've ever seen in my life last night. Holy shit. I don't know.
Understanding that the president is always most interested in results. And it was the Iranians who backed down, not President Trump. He said that they would face very grave consequences, as you just laid out, by the 8 p.m. deadline if they did not agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And what did they do last night? They agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Would President Trump like to see Lebanon included in this peace deal? As you know, there's been increased Israeli strikes on Lebanon today with dozens of casualties there.
Sure. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a statement last night in support of the ceasefire, in support of the United States' efforts, and he's also assured the president they'll continue to be a helpful partner throughout the course of the next 2 weeks.
Is there any thought, though, that the president might like to see Lebanon included at a future date, given that it seems to be causing or potentially undermining the Iran ceasefire?
Again, this will continue to be discussed, I am sure, between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu, the United States, and Israel, and all of the parties involved, but at this point in time, they're not included in the ceasefire. Jeff.
Thank you. Caroline, will the U.S. take part in talks with Iran in Islamabad on Friday?
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team, led by the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner, to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning local time, and we know we look forward to those in-person meetings.
What role does the president see for the U.S. in monitoring or helping with the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
I think the president commented on that this morning. We're going to continue to monitor it very, very closely. We will be helpful in any way that we can, but we fully expect Iran to do this, and the president has made that quite clear as well. It's, again, as his statement said last night, this ceasefire is subject to the safe reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, this was just determined last night. We understand things take time, but that's the president's expectation, and he will hold everyone to it. Sure, in the green blazer.
Thank you,
Sure, and then in front of you. But Andrew, you can go ahead.
All right.
You're not wearing a green blazer. It's a little brown.
Fair enough.
Frickin' epic, guys.
Regarding
Frickin'
the
epic.
president's rhetoric, when the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003, George W. Bush said in a message to the Iraqi people that the military campaign was directed, quote, against the lawless men who rule your country and not against you. Yesterday, the president threatened to destroy Iran's civilization, the entire civilization. Not the Iranian government, but the Iranian civilization, the Iranian people. The U.S. has been a moral leader for most of its history by fighting wars against other governments, not against civilizations. How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilizations and not testing wars as fights against other governments?
Oh my
Andrew, I think
God.
you should take a look at the actions of this president over the course of the past 6 weeks and the actions of our brave men and women in our United States military who have taken out essentially taken out the military of a rogue Islamic regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years, that has killed and maimed thousands of American soldiers over the course of the last 5 decades. The president absolutely has the moral high ground over the Iranian terrorist regime, and for you to even suggest otherwise is frankly insulting.
With all due respect, Caroline,
Go ahead.
with all due respect,
Go ahead.
there is...
Just given what we've seen in Lebanon today and the increased attacks from Israel, I mean, is there any concern concerned that Netanyahu is trying to kill the ceasefire?
The president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu last night. And in that private conversation, Prime Minister Netanyahu relayed exactly what he said to the world publicly, that he supports the president and Israel remains a key ally and partner to the United States. They've been a tremendous partner over the course of the past 6 weeks, and we thank them for their heroic efforts as well. And the president had that conversation last night, and that was relayed to the world publicly as well. Reagan, go ahead.
Caroline, I have a question for you on Iran, and I have a question on the Dignity Act as well. On Iran, it's been reported that the ceasefire was struck after the involvement of two unlikely factors, J.D. Vance and China. What role did those parties play in striking a deal?
Well, Vice President Vance has played a very significant and a key role in this since the very beginning. Of course, he's the president's right-hand man. He is the vice president of the United States. He's been involved in all of these discussions, and as I just announced, he'll be leading this new phase of negotiations in Islamabad later this week. With respect to China, there were conversations that took place between top levels of our government and China's government. The president has great respect for President Xi and a great working relationship with him and with that country, and he looks forward to visiting China in just a few weeks.
And on the Dignity Act, it's getting a fresh push through Congress. It would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. What's the White House's position on this legislation, and would the president sign it if it made it to his desk?
Honestly, Reagan, I haven't spoken to the president about the legislation, but I will have that conversation, and we'll get you our formal position on it as soon as we can.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
The president suggested yesterday this morning that he would support a joint U.S.-Iran venture to charge tolls for ships going through the strait. Does the president believe that the U.S. should earn revenue from the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
It's an idea the president has floated, as you know, and it's something that will continue to be discussed over the course of the next 2 weeks. But the immediate priority of the president is the reopening of the strait without any limitations, whether in the form of tolls or otherwise.
On the highly enriched uranium, has Iran given the administration any indication that it would simply turn over the enriched uranium, or is this an expectation the president has that he would have to send in ground troops in order to do that?
This is on the top of the priority list for the president and his negotiating team as they head into this next round of discussions. And as I said in my opener, that is a red line that the president is not going to back away from, and he's committed to ensuring that takes place. We hope it will be through diplomacy.
Have they given any indication that they would turn it over?
They have.
They are?
Yes. Trevor.
The latest news out of Iran is that the air defenses have been activated in several cities, including Isfahan, and that explosions have been heard in Isfahan. Who is bombing Iran right now?
Were those reports just as of a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I'll have to go back and check with the national security team. I'm standing up here with all of you, but I will do that, and we will get you an answer, okay?
Thanks.
The civilization question that we've been talking about.
And I would just add to that point, again, I haven't seen these reports. I'm not verifying them. Not that I don't trust you, Trevor, but I want to go back and check with the experts here at the White House. I would just say, and I would echo what the vice president said this morning, this is a fragile truce. Ceasefires are fragile by nature. We've seen this with respect to the 12-day war with Iran and Israel last year. It takes time sometimes for these ceasefires to be fully effectuated. And one of the results of Operation Epic Fury was we completely dismantled Iran's command and control center, which makes it difficult for them to pass messages up and down the chain. And so we understand that. I would caution a little bit of patience, but of course we want to see the ceasefire effectuated and abided by all parties as quickly as possible.
Thank you. American presidential administrations, going back to Ronald Reagan, have said this formulation about nuclear war, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. Is that still the view of this administration, given the president's comments about civilization?
I have no change in our view on that policy. Katie.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm just, given the gravity of what he said yesterday, what was your understanding of what he meant when he said, this civilization is going to be eliminated?
I think it was a very, very strong threat from the President of the United States.
Threat to do what? A threat for what? A threat for what?
That led the Iranian regime to cave to their knees and ask for a ceasefire and agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. So it was a very strong threat that led to results. And as the Secretary of War stated at the Pentagon this morning, it was not an empty threat by any means. The Pentagon had a target list that they were ready to hit go on at 8 p.m.
It wasn't an empty threat, so they were ready to destroy a civilization? Or what do you mean by that?
Last night, if the Iranian regime had not agreed to open the strait, which they did, and I think that's something we should all be grateful for.
The United States is a moral leader in the world, given that
I was asked this exact same question by your colleague Andrew in the back, and I think, again, the insinuation by anyone in this room that Iran somehow has the moral high ground over the United States of America is insulting, considering the atrocities that they have committed against our people and our military over the past 5 decades.
Come on, guys.
John, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you. One has to do with a joint statement put out this morning by some of America's European allies, our NATO allies. And in that joint statement, they said regarding the Strait of Hormuz, our governments will contribute to ensuring freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. What's the administration's reaction to that joint statement? Does that smooth things over when the president meets with NATO Secretary General a little bit later this afternoon?
I have a direct quote from the President of the United States on NATO, and I will share it with all of you. They were tested, and they failed. And I would add, it's quite sad that NATO turned their backs on the American people over the course of the last 6 weeks, when it's the American people who have been defunding their defense. As you know, President Trump will be meeting with Secretary Ruta in a couple of hours here at the White House, and I know he looks forward to having a very frank and candid conversation with him.
And then secondly, in regards to this conflict, 38 days, as you pointed out, President Trump has said that there's been regime change. Has that regime change led to more freedoms for the Iranian people?
I think that's a question that's being asked a little bit too early, John, and we hope that is the case, but it's something that has yet to be seen. Eamon.
Caroline, on this question about
tolling by the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz. I've heard you talk about a number of red lines the president has in this negotiation, but I haven't heard you say that Iranian tolling in the Strait of Hormuz is a red line. Would it be acceptable to the United States at the end of all this if the Iranians are able to charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz?
I think the president was very clear and simplistic in his language last night in his Truth Social post, where he said that this...
It's kind of embarrassing that this is the most critical journalists are right now after this disaster. I know they'd be kicked out, but damn, this is all like, it's... none of this is real. This is all just like a joke. Like none of this is reality right now. This is the dumbest thing ever. All of it is.
Ceasefire is subject to the free, safe, and immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. That's very plain language, and it should be taken at face value.
You mean
Carrie, go ahead. Without limitation, including tolls, yes. Carrie.
Quick follow-up on your point. Why would the U.S. allow Iran to collect tolls in the Strait of Hormuz? That's not something that we've opposed for a number of years now.
Again, that's not something we've said that we've definitively accepted. The joint venture is something that was proposed by the president, but he was very clear in his statement last night. He wants to see the strait reopened immediately without limitation, and that's something we're going to hold them to.
Yes, second question on family and friends in Iran. I myself am Iranian, and I've been talking to them through the blackout. One of my family members yesterday said goodbye to me. So what message should we be sending Iranians when they message me saying, what should they be doing right now? How should they stay safe? Because they really don't know what to do.
I think the president's main priority, and my main priority as his spokeswoman, is to...
What does Polymarket say about the U.S. pulling out of NATO? I don't know. What is it?
Make sure that clear messages are sent to the American people, of course, which is my job today. With respect to the Iranian people, the president, has taken out the imminent threat that was posed by their military to the United States, to our allies in the region, to our forces in the region. And of course, as the president has long said, he hopes that Iran will be a country of peace, of prosperity, and we're moving into this next round of negotiations to hopefully come to an agreement with this new regime that will create long-term stability in the Middle East.
He has said that they should stay inside of their homes and also take back their country. So there's a contradiction there. So how do you address that?
Again, we're moving into this next round of negotiations with the remnants of the regime and those that we are speaking with now to hopefully reach a place of peace long-term for the region, and that includes the Iranian people as well. In the blue, go ahead.
Thank you, Carly. The White House posted the statement from the Iranian government that passage in the Strait will be coordinated with Iran's armed forces. As of today, who controls the Strait of Hormuz?
Again, these statements were put out 12 hours ago. We expect that the Strait will be opened immediately. As I said earlier, we have seen an uptick in traffic in the Strait, and it's something that we are monitoring minute by minute, hour by hour as the days go on.
Who controls the Strait right now?
One on the deportations of Iranian officials, and then on the negotiations. Are there still security concerns about Vice President Vance being part of these peace talks, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner? And then two, given the ongoing deportation of General Soleimani's niece, does the Trump administration plan to deport more relatives or people in the families of Iranian officials that are in the U.S.?
Certainly, anyone who is here fraudulently. I understand one of the individuals who their visa was revoked by Secretary Rubio and they were deported by ICE. They had a fraudulent asylum claim. That's against the laws of the United States. So anyone who is here illegally or fraudulently is subject to our nation's immigration laws and will be removed from our country. And I know this continues to be a top priority for the State Department, working in conjunction with the Department of Homeland Security. With respect to the safety of the Vice President, we fully trust the United States Secret Service to do their job, to keep the Vice President and the President's negotiating team safe. They do a tremendous job, and we fully trust them to do that. In the back, go ahead.
The president said Cuba is next. What's the message to the American people?
Wait, I have no idea.
Expect in relation to the statement?
Well, look, I think when President Trump said that, and he later clarified after making that statement, that he meant the Cuban regime is bound to fall. The country is very weak. They're in a very weak position economically, obviously, financially. The Cuban people are fed up with their government, as they should be. And these talks and discussions continue to happen at the highest level of our government. I don't have any updates or announcements for you with respect to Cuba policy today.
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Hegseth said this morning that U.S. troops would be sticking around. Can you expound upon that, what we should expect from U.S. troops in theater for the next 2 weeks and beyond?
I would defer you to the Pentagon for any specifics on assets that have been in place in the Middle East, but take the Secretary at his word, and also the President has reiterated this as well in his own words, that we're not going to move anything immediately. Again, this is a 2-week ceasefire where we hope at the end, and we expect at the end, we'll have a good agreement between the United States and Iran, but in the meantime, we're going to ensure that our military is always at the ready of the Commander-in-Chief. I'll take a couple more in the back. Thank you. On NATO, I'll take your question.
Thank you, Caroline. On NATO, can you tell me, is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the President has discussed, and I think it's something the President will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Ruta, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the President following that meeting later this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
That's it? Okay. All right. Nothing is real right now. It's just not real. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. Somebody said Tim went hard on this guy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bulwark. I'm Tim Miller. Delighted to be here with New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Sir, I think maybe we have some disagreements over the Iran war we can hash out a little bit, and so I want to get into that. But first, just because things are moving so fast, I just want to kind of lay out where things are as we tape. Obviously, this is Tuesday afternoon. The president this morning was posting about how a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. About an hour ago, Pakistan put out a public statement saying that they're asking for a 2-week ceasefire. we're seeing some reporting literally right now as we're talking that maybe there's some optimism about that from both sides. We'll see how it shakes out. So that's where things stand. When we scheduled this conversation, you'd put out a statement talking about how you were different from some of your fellow Democrats.
Wait. Do you think that Americans should feel ashamed when interacting with their closest allies like Europe and Canada, given the insanity displayed by your leadership? Because even in here, I hear so many retarded takes from Americans that can't admit their wrongdoing because criticism is coming from a European, so they'd rather assume a Trump-like attitude rather than admit wrongdoing. Well, I don't understand what you mean by that. Bad gateway popped up. Wait, why?
Because you were more proactive in supporting the decision to act against the Iranian regime. I'm wondering if that's where you still stand here about a month in, a little over a month.
So, what hasn't changed is my view that actually, if you look at my release from a month ago, I think it's very consistent with my position now, which is one, we've got to do everything we can to crush the Iranian government in the sense of going back to the late 70s, this regime has literally killed scores of Americans, attacked our allies, attacked and killed our service members and our bases, through their terror proxies, killed thousands more. None of that's changed. Their banner is death to America. As you know, we're the great Satan. According to them, they took our embassy and turned it into a hate museum against Americans, right? So, and they continue to threaten our democracy and freedom. None of that's changed at all. They also, I'm on the Intelligence Committee, without going into specifics, although some of this has been declassified by the Secretary of State talking about it. But as you know, they've been very aggressive, both in their nuclear program, but also in their ballistic missile and drone programs, further threatening our country, especially if they have enough capacity to stop us from getting to a bomb if they choose to jump the line and enrich. So that hasn't changed. And I also said the reason why I voted for the War Powers Resolution back then, that we voted on in the Congress, as you know, was that the administration had completely failed, in my opinion, to make the case to the American public and to Congress, right? And in terms of what the reasoning was for going in, and also what the objectives were when they went in and what they are today. They've still failed completely to outline those objectives to me in a way that to the American public and to the Congress, including progress made. And, the president gave...
I tried to explain the second part of the message. Yeah, I saw it. I just don't understand what to me, it seems like it feeds into the Americans being inherently selfish argument you were sort of entertaining the other day. I appreciate when Anna, because tends to highlight how unwilling Americans are to hear opposing opinions of different culture. Everybody that's a Democrat or everybody that's on the left, I'm pretty sure feels like horrendous about this administration. So I don't know exactly what you're looking for, what kind of statement you're looking for from Americans. I don't know.
A speech a few days ago, which probably should have given, in my opinion, on day one of all this. And so that hasn't changed either. I think they've completely failed to
Did the speech clarify anything for you? I didn't feel like I got a lot of clarification on why we're doing this.
Did it clarify anything for me? No, I think it at least took pains to say to the country, hey, by the way, here's what we're worried about in Iran, right? And here's why we're doing this, which the president really hadn't done. And by the way, their objectives, as you know, completely shifting all over the place for the last, 40 plus days. They're we're all over the map. Yeah. It's like that scene in Airplane, like when they were like, we're at 5,000 feet, 8,000 feet, 10,000 feet. They're all over the place. And I kind of felt like that was the way when you watch their communications on this of what their objectives were. Was it terror? Running their terror program, their ballistic missile program on drones. Is it getting to a regime change, right? Which is a whole different, that's a whole different objective. They talked about the Navy and diminishing the Navy, which I think is critically important. But again, it's without laying these things out and understanding what victory looks like, it's tough to go after it.
Right. So do you have any sense of what the objectives are right now?
No, if you go on, do I have any more clarity publicly from what I think the objectives are, without shifting? Ultimately, no. I think what they've said consistently, if you're looking at the map of where they've been consistent and what the president said, it's concerned about the them having a nuclear weapon, right? That's I guess sure. Been consistent. and they've consistently talked about diminishing the Navy. Otherwise, the rest of it is kind of shifted all over the place. And by the way, they have not once come before a congressional committee to talk to us about whether there's. And I think as a member of Congress and as a member of an oversight committee related to that, I completely have a huge problem with that.
So we're aligned on all those critiques. I guess then my question is, why not just oppose this? Clearly, I don't understand why there'd be any possible interest from a Democratic member in a war when we don't know what the objectives are.
Wait, what's he asking them to oppose, or
when you can't trust the people running it, when they haven't made their case to you? Why not just oppose it?
As somebody who is obviously on the Intelligence Committee who's focused on the Middle East for a long time, containing the threat, right? Containing Iran, which I know the government there, not the people who they've massacred tens of thousands of, indiscriminately, including children. But knowing what kind of threat Iran poses, right? I believe the importance of stopping that threat is critical. But there's different ways to stop a threat. Right?
Sure.
And especially, I don't believe regime change right now, for instance, is something that you could do unless you're going to put troops on the ground, and I don't support that, right? So that doesn't mean that I don't still believe it's a threat, and I work for America, not for a political party.
Hey, so this time of year, I'm trying to stay consistent with eating well. But between workouts, and commuting, cooking just isn't happening as much as it should. Tempo Meals, however, gives me fresh, balanced meals ready in 2 minutes so I can eat the way I want
2 minutes
without losing time. Each meal is perfectly portioned for lunch or dinner, and it's ready in just 2 minutes. That means real food, real fast, without the sad desk lunch or the drive-through regret. With 20 new recipes every week made from nutrient-rich ingredients, Tempo keeps things exciting and helps you stay consistent with healthy eating habits.
What? That's awesome.
Even busy athletes like Maria Sharapova swear by Tempo for balanced meals that help them stay on top of their wellness goals. And no matter your goals, there's a Tempo meal for you. So protein-packed meals with up to 30 grams of protein, calorie-conscious, or even GLP-1 balanced meals. It's convenient but flexible enough to fit the way you want to eat. For a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off their first box. Go to tempomeals.com/bulwarktakes. That's tempomeals.com/bulwarktakes for 60% off your first box.
God damn.
tempomeals.com/bulwarktakes. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So I guess I'm just confused. So do you want him to keep going? Like, what do you want to happen tonight? Like, would you like him to say, you know what, we're pulling out of this. We're going to try to do a face-saving deal, or do you want them to keep pressing forward?
What I'd like is to find out we get a deal, which is going to reopen the straits, is going to make sure that we can get gas prices down and get, right, because we've got 20% of the world's oil going through there and gas going through there. I'd like to know some commitments on their nuclear program and their drone and ballistic missile program, and understand what we're going to do financially to contain their terror proxy program, supporting Hamas and Hezbollah and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, all threats us,
Isn't
right?
Isn't that where we were 6 weeks ago? And the strait was open 6 weeks ago. They had bombed the nuclear facilities last year.
Tim, I mean, unless I'm hoping we find out. Oh, you mean if we massively diminish those programs, that would be a good thing.
I mean, I guess if the regime is still in charge.
What is the big check mark on your screen? I don't know. It's the DGG chat. I don't know why it's being weird right now. Or what? Or maybe it's OBS. Or it's the OmniJet. Refresh. I'll try refreshing it again. We'll see if that does anything. Good luck.
Though, if they've had a regime transition from an 86-year-old guy that was going to die soon anyway to his son, and the IRGC is still in charge, and they've demonstrated that they have control over the strait, and I mean, sure, they've lost some ships and missiles, but that could be replenished. Like, great. Like, why would we did that? We caused all this harm. We caused all this international harm. We've pissed off our allies in Europe and Asia and Australia. People at home have higher gas prices. Like to what? For what end? We got rid of a couple of their missiles and ships. Who cares?
Don't say who cares on that, because what if we told you, hey, by the way, we've set back their missile, drone, and
who the fuck is this Republican? Even if the Trump admin were to accomplish every goal or objective, this was not a good war. Nothing about this is such a who is this guy?
and nuclear program several years. Would you consider that a win or a loss?
I mean, they said that last year, and now we're in a war with them again. And I think that China and Russia could replenish them. China and Russia, we're seeing Russia's replenishing them now. Obviously, that's how they shut down our plane. Like they didn't, have. So there are other ways for them to access weapons going forward.
Again, say we knew that we significantly set back their program in that regard. Would you still? You would say, well, it doesn't really matter.
I would say that's still a loss, yeah, because we've given them now they know they can control the strait, so we've given them more power and leverage. We've alienated our European allies and our Asian allies, and people in America who had no idea what the purpose was of this war, who did not feel at all threatened by their ballistic missile capabilities, are going to suffer major economic consequences. And they're suffering at the pump already, but with the supply chain disruption, there's going to be massive economic consequences.
FYI, this guy is in a very tough district and is both siding as an ethos really hard. I can respect that, but like on the war, like this isn't even a popular issue with conservatives right now, right? Why would you, where's the pressure coming from to both sides on this?
Consequences to this, and so that is the deal. We pushed it back their capabilities 2 years to screw over our own people. That feels like a terrible deal.
Well, not in the sense. Here's where I look at it just a little differently, and I hear, by the way, that perspective. I would say I look at it from the angle of if it turns out that we've significantly diminished their capabilities when it comes to drone, missile, and nuclear, and we're able to, and we actually are successful doing that. If that's where it turns out, and some of this stuff. Okay.
I hope this doesn't become a thing of like using, I don't know how you describe this grammar, but like using a noun to describe a thing. Like I hope we've diminished their nuclear. What the fuck? Shut the fuck up. Speak like a fucking adult. We've diminished their nuclear weapons capability or their nuclear weapons program. This like we've diminished their cyber, their nuclear. Don't talk like Trump like a fucking retard. Holy shit, that drives me crazy. Like when Trump says it's retarded and it sounds retarded. Please do not adopt these things as ordinary speaking mechanisms. Fuck, give me nuclear back over whatever the fuck this grammar is.
Doing that if that's where it turns out, and some of this stuff I can't talk about, but we also need to learn more and see what any kind of negotiated ending of this is. Again, until I see that, I don't know. But say that let's just play let's just play that out. If that happens, I'd say that's a huge win, because what I was worried about, what I was worried about, and it's not something that we should just brush aside as Americans who care about our security. Their development of their ballistic missile program development was not something that we should just look the other way on, and their drone program development is not something that we should just look the other way on. And you could say, well, that doesn't matter. But as somebody who's worried about our interests in the region and worried about us, I do. I
what about our interests at home, though? I mean, I don't think that you can make the.
No, you shouldn't consider that point. Even if we got every single conceivable concession possible from Iran, the way that we entered the war was dubious at best. People have too much of a the process and the procedure matters. Just because there might be a good outcome, this is so stupid. I don't even know how to like. This is not real. I don't even know why I'm watching this. I don't know why I'm doing anything. Where's Arc Raiders at? Where's Moody at? Like, if you were to walk up to a person on the street and punch them in the face, and it's like, without the hospital, it's like, well, what do you think about punching that guy? It's like, I don't know. I need to wait and see what they find at the hospital. It might be that the guy got punched, went to the hospital, and they found out he had that syphilis virus that Chubby was talking about, and now they managed to cure the dude. So we're gonna have to wait and see how it turns out. Or it might be that once he goes to the hospital and they run his record and a cop sees him, maybe he's got like an outstanding warrant or a record as being like a rapist or something, and they managed to catch this guy. So I've got to wait and see. No, motherfucker. What do you mean you have to wait and see? No, Jesus Christ. Holy fuck. Let me get a Red Bull. Hold on. Fuck.
case. How can you make a case to the American people that the Iranian missile program was a real threat to America, and it was a threat that was so great that it was worth harming their economic interests?
Do you think them having a nuclear weapon would be a disaster?
Yeah.
I think it would be a disaster. I am supportive of Iran not having nuclear weapons. However, we should all agree that that's a bad thing. That's a case that you should be able to make to the American public. Make that case to the American people. Get the proper authorization for war, or at least from Congress, and then go and do it. Like, you can't...
Sure, but they've been on the cusp of having a nuclear weapon for a long time. We had a deal with them under the Obama administration that Trump had taken us out of. There were other potential options for preventing them from having weapons.
We did nothing to diminish their terror program. Like, that deal did nothing to address their...
Bro, Israel has diminished their terror program. What are you talking about? Hezbollah got fucking pagered out the fucking ass. Israel's been bombing fucking Lebanon for like a year now. Assad is gone in Syria. Hezbollah doesn't have a strong government to coordinate with anymore in Syria or Lebanon. Like, well, their terror capacity, their capabilities have been severely diminished in the region. This is such a post hoc.
Sure. And do you think that we're safer though today from terror? That Americans are safer, that Americans are safer from a terror threat today than we were a month ago?
No.
It seems to me that the risk of retaliation is higher.
Yeah, I don't know about retaliation, but like
a terror. The threat of terror is probably higher.
Everybody's
today,
got it like fucked over.
No.
I think this. I think that, part of my frustration, and getting back to your central question where you started this, part of my frustration, because, I'm just giving you a sense of like you asked me, what would I hope to get out of this? That's what I would hope to get out. Part of my frustration is some of the questions that we're both asking each other, we don't know the answers to. And that's actually what's deeply frustrating.
But that's not acceptable. Not knowing the answer means that it doesn't matter what the outcome is. It's bad. Like, if you tell your girlfriend, if she says you can fuck me in my sleep, and you're like, that's awesome, I'm gonna come over tomorrow and do it, while you're having a sleepover with 10 friends, and you sneak into the room at night and you don't know who anybody is, and you just fuck one girl at random, it's not, you don't get to say, well, we'll know when they wake up if we did something good or not. Like, it doesn't. This is such a stupid argument. It is not conceivable to me that a real life adult human being is making this argument. This is such a stupid argument. I can't believe that this is a real argument.
If some of the answer turned out to be yes, some things I know the answer to, but let's say that some of the things turned out to be yes. Like, I actually would come down and say Americans are safer because of it. If it turns out the answers are no, or actually we have not diminished certain things that I think we have, as well as I'd like to know, and that's in the end we'll find out. Well, then, by the way, then I'll have a different opinion about it.
You're on the Intelligence Committee, though. If you don't know...
Like, yeah, well, bro, you're not even like a random dude. You're not even a random member of Congress. Like, if you don't know the answer yet, then it's wrong. It doesn't matter what the end result is.
Nobody knows. So why not oppose this? I just don't understand how we could not just be clearly in opposition to a program where we don't know what the objectives are. We can't trust the people running it. They lie. They're liars. They have demonstrated a lack of competence, at least at the political level. The military has obviously demonstrated competence. But we're going to trust Trump and Pete Hegseth and just take our chances. Hopefully it works. That's where you're at.
I fundamentally know that the Iranian government is an enemy of our country and very close allies with our other enemies, China and Russia and North Korea. I know that they are dangerously close to having a nuclear weapon, and that's...
Yeah, but what have you done? Think of how much you've empowered... Dude, this is like this is not real. I don't know why I'm giving commentary on this. This isn't real. None of this is... I'm not even saying that, like, ironically. None of this will stand. Whatever the deal we've made is not going to stand because it's ridiculous. But, like, if it did stand... Imagine how much of a lifeline we've thrown to Iran and to Russia. The lifeline that you've thrown. You took a nation that was on the brink of non-existence, that has already been crippled by sanctions, where every proxy in the region has been eviscerated by Israel and kind of the United States, where the whole world is looking at you like, what the fuck? Where your closest ally, Russia, you're having to ship a ton of shit off to. They can't even really help you that much with anything anymore because they're getting fucked in their own little quagmire in Ukraine, right? The lifeline you've thrown to we're going to go kill 30 people and then we're going to give you the fucking Strait of Hormuz. We're not going to have any restrictions on any weapons or anything that you do, no matter what. Like, you throw, like, and now you get to make all this money off of energy and everything else. And in the meantime, Russia had all of their sanctions dropped, I believe, so that they can sell all their oil on the market. Like, it's just like an unbelievable lifeline you've thrown to these people for no fucking reason.
Unacceptable. I know that their missile program advanced significantly. I know that their drone program advanced significantly. I know that that poses a massive threat. Their terror program has advanced massively, and I know they're a major threat to the United States of America. And so knowing that, this is not about Donald Trump or anybody else. This is about standing up.
I mean,
this
he's the president. You think you think the Iranian mullahs are a greater threat to the American people than Donald Trump getting us into this war? You think the Iranian mullahs are a greater threat? You are more scared of them?
The Iranian government poses a massive.
All right. I'm sorry.
Has posed a massive threat to the United States.
I'm sorry.
Do I think that Donald
I'm sorry for this? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Josh, I'm sorry. I need to see the APAC money to this guy. I got to see the APAC. I need to see it. Where do I see who's donated money to this dude? I'm not buying. There's no shot. This is an unbelievable. Where do I see it? How do I find all of his contributions? Campaign finance summary. Dang, holy shit. These are expensive races. These are Israeli talking points, like 101. Like it is, like Iran is the greatest threat. And this is like when a friend in your group comes to you and they're like, guys, Michael is bad news. And it's like, Michael? I don't know. He seems chill. No. Let me tell you why. This is the worst guy for our friend group. And it's like, what they're really saying is like, I had a bad experience with him and I need all of you motherfuckers to hate him on my side. Like, what the who is talking? How does America have all of these unknown huge threats to us? That I find out that like, oh, apparently Venezuela was a massive fucking threat to us and nobody was talking about it. Apparently Haitians were a huge threat to us and MS-13 and Tren de Aragua and Iran. Where are all these new threats coming from that Trump manages to stand up and tear down the same day he identifies them as a huge threat?
Trump has handled this well. Back to the thing we were talking about. No, obviously not. And I said that.
Yeah, obviously not. So why would we trust him to do something if we know he isn't going to handle it well? Well, this is a very high stakes situation. I don't think anybody, the Strait of Hormuz has now been closed.
We've got the best general, because it's not just Donald Trump that runs this. We've got the best generals in the world and the best military in the world, the best intelligence in the world, the best intelligence community.
I mean,
the best intelligence in the world. Tim, hit him up with the. Tell me you know the counter. We have the best intelligence in the world. And Tulsi Gabbard more or less confirmed to the Congress that they did not make the assessment that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States. So, and you are on the intelligence whatever committee in the House and you don't know anything. So what do you mean? Why do you assume the intelligence committee is even fucking involved here? It sounds like Netanyahu forwarded Trump a fucking Twitter compilation video of Iranian terrorist attacks and Trump was like, we gotta fucking go right now.
In the world, and the best military in the world, the best intelligence in the world, the best intelligence community.
I mean, but our generals are not the ones that are bleeding out. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. That's the president. That's their boss.
Yes, but okay, but fine.
So why would you?
But fine. I like it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, it's absurd. Why would you let a guy that would tweet that be in charge of a war where American lives are at risk?
Well, because who's going to be? We have a commander in chief. That's his job.
Oh my God. Oh, what is happening to my country? How did we get here? Who linked me? I'm sorry. Who linked me this YouTube video? Because the person that linked this video to me, they said, Destiny, do you think Tim went too hard on this guy?
Yeah, to oppose him, I think. To say that as a Democratic representative, you do not think that an unhinged commander-in-chief should be getting us into a war where he's promising genocide in Iran.
There's a reason why I opposed it, why I supported the War Powers Resolution a couple weeks ago, because I opposed it. I made it very clear. But like that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support our servicemen and women. It doesn't mean I'm not going to back the great work of our military and intelligence community. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to say the government of Iran needs to be crushed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Didn't he say Tim went hard? No? It sounded like he was saying Tim went too hard. He should have... I think Tim should have roasted this guy even further. Oh, my God. This is... Whatever, bro.
So
well,
you're,
so
you're kind of for it in the abstract. Like you wish it would work well, but you don't know what the objectives are. And...
He is part of the Blue Dog Caucus. They are all this retarded, but most are in battleground states, so we give them a pass. Battleground states are supposed to be states where you're a Democrat, but you're not like for single payer health care, okay? It's not supposed to be that you have an indistinguishable position from the Republicans on insane foreign policy. I don't even know who likes this war. Nobody even likes this war. This is not popular, even amongst Republicans. Maybe the crazy MAGA people kind of, but like this won't age well either. This war is not going to age well. Bro, okay.
You don't... want to do.
Link me to this guy's district. Everybody keeps saying that this guy's in a tough district. Fuck, that APAC tweet, I just made 20% of my audience more anti-Semitic. Or this, I shouldn't have looked this up. Bro, kill me. Hold on. Josh, what district is this guy in? New Jersey's 5th district. I can't sort by year. Give me. Oh shit! Red. Oh, maybe it is. This district might be kind of competitive. Well, wait. Am I retarded? Did I just read this wrong? Oh no! I didn't read it wrong. He's been there for a long time though. He's been there since 2016. 5 points is a decent margin in 2016 when that was the year Trump won. 14 points in 2018, off-cycle year, so it's supposed to be high. 2020 when Biden won, 8 points, 7.5. 2022, still off-season for Biden and still did well, 10 points. 2024, 11 points, even though Trump won. He does not. These are big. 11 points is a big margin. Like 5 and over is a big margin. Okay, whatever.
Do anything to constrain it.
I have a huge problem with how this thing's being executed from how it's being executed. The goal of crushing Iran, I think is the goal of crushing Iran is the right thing. I think not giving us hearings is a problem. I think not giving us more information, the country and the Congress is.
These aren't problems, by the way. These are deal breakers. Like these you can't support this if these basic things aren't happening. It's a deal breaker.
Huge problem. I think firing the Army Chief of Staff, huge problem. Right? So you asked,
why don't lefties go after this retard? Because lefties can't win in this district. They will only pick the bluest of the places.
If you asked me, like, do I think the goal of massively diminishing Iran is a good thing? Totally.
Oh my God.
Do I think the way this is being executed is going well? No. So
do you think we're stronger? Do you think we're in a better place now than we were 6 weeks ago, economically, geopolitically?
Well, we got to wait and see how it turns out.
From a safety standpoint, do you think we're in a better or worse place than we were?
We got to wait and see, guys.
I think if we've diminished their military, I think we're stronger. If we've diminished their military.
Never mind. Okay, we're stronger. We're better off.
I mean, we've lost.
I mean, he does make a good point. We have diminished our military. And think about all the military attacks from Iran onto the United States over the past couple of years. Jeez. You know, I'm acting surprised by this because I was going to compare it to the Afghanistan thing. But I guess technically, this is kind of like what the Doha Agreement. Was it the Doha Agreement or the Doha Accords that we did with the Taliban, where Trump just Trump completely and totally unilaterally surrendered all of Afghanistan to the Taliban and left?
billions of dollars of military materiel that we're going to now have to fund again. Our economic situation is worse. Our relationship with our allies is worse.
If they had 10,000 ballistic missiles, just I'm picking a number yesterday, and they have 2,000 today.
Yeah, what were they gonna? Were they gonna shoot 8,000 of them at Florida or New Jersey? Like, what?
Yeah, what are we worried about? They've been shooting missiles. They've been getting intercepted, and then they fall on and kill Arabs. Like, what do you mean? Where is, bro?
Was the risk of
we
that?
know their missiles are longer range than we expected. They could shoot them at our allies in Europe. They could threaten us. They could threaten.
You think that's what Iran is going to do? Is going to start bombing Europe? You think Iran is going to start shooting missiles past Turkey? They're going to start bombing Europe? What are we doing? What next? Are they going to start bombing India? What are we talking about?
Dirty bombs inside.
What are we
of
talking
Miami.
about? He's fucking
Dirty
retarded.
bombs.
In Europe aren't on board with this. They've.
Tim is like, I don't even. What do you even say? What do you even say?
Our allies in Europe aren't on board with this. They've.
They should be like, we just sent the Artemis mission up to the moon. You know that their flight path for about 2 hours puts them right in the possible trajectory of an Iranian interceptor.
They're now hostile
to
us.
You're asking me one question. I'm answering you. You're saying, do I think you asked me a safety question?
Okay.
You asked me. I don't.
You think we're safer?
You asked me a safety question. I said if we diminish their missiles and their drone program and diminish their nuclear program and their terror programs, the answer would be yes. But part of the frustration is I said we don't have all the answers that I'd like to have. I've seen some of the things.
You don't have any answers. You have nothing.
And with some of the things I've seen, I think we've made progress in some areas. But you're right. In terms of like the Straits of Hormuz right now, no, that's not acceptable what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz. Would I like to have actually have deeper, would I like the president to have been handled this with the country better? Yup. Would I like him to engage the allies? Yup. Would I like to have done things better all along? Yes. But again, Iran, you asked me about as somebody who has studied the region.
I got it.
I think diminishing Iran is a good thing. And the answer, you keep trying to get me to say no to that. My answer is yes, diminishing Iran is a good thing.
No, I'm just trying
I feel like if anything, this hurts Europe because now Iran is going to have so much more money. Is there an official website where I can read our current sanctions? If we seriously lifted all the sanctions from Iran, there's no way. But I don't know why I'm talking about this because this is not happening. This can't possibly be happening. Do we currently have no sanctions on the Russian energy? There's no way. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't know.
I understand. I disagree. I was just trying to understand your position. The son-in-law, I'm curious about that. The president's son-in-law was, in the Situation Room discussing this. He was at the negotiation table with Iran. He has received money from Saudi Arabia, who is obviously also supporting this effort. He's in business dealings with Saudi Arabia and other people in the region. Does that concern you at all? I find it hard to imagine that he has the appropriate security clearance for this, given all of his conflicts. I'm just wondering, being on the Intelligence Committee, if that's something that you're concerned
sure.
about.
You're asking me if I'm am I good with the way he who he brings around the table? No, of course.
No,
I don't like the way he does that.
Well, I don't know. I guess you would know more than me. I don't.
Oh my God.
All I know is that Jared Kushner is receiving money from MBS, and that Jared Kushner is also involved with the Board of Peace, and he's pushing to have condos in Gaza, and then simultaneously he's our lead negotiator.
Yeah, you got people in the government with cryptocurrency interests. You got people doing all these things that are in.
Right.
By the way,
so that would lead me to not trust the people to do the war, I guess, is where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, but by the way, if your question is coming back to where I think our strengths are, I think our servicemen and women incredible. I think our leadership incredible. I think our intelligence, the day-to-day intelligence community incredible, the best in the world. And I have great confidence in Tulsi Gabbard.
If you think our servicemen are so fucking great, why do you keep sending them off to the most pointless random theaters of war to go die for random shit, right?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm right. But my point is the people who brief, and do a lot of who do the day-to-day work and who are incredible out there. I have a lot of faith in them, and I think we're very blessed to have such good people.
I think that we have great military capabilities. I'm deeply concerned about our political leadership. You mentioned Tulsi when she was,
by the way, as you should be. Yeah.
Yeah. She was testifying. You were asking her about this question about the degree to which Israel influenced our entrance into the war. You've expressed some concern with people scapegoating Israel. So it's important that people don't kind of put this decision on Israel. The Times today has a story where Benjamin Netanyahu was in the Situation Room February 11th and making a pitch to Donald Trump about what their plan was for the war. Trump was impressed with that pitch, according to the New York Times reporting. There were others in the administration who were saying that Bibi was too optimistic about the potential outcomes for regime change and otherwise. And it just seems just like the basic fact is that Israel encouraged us and influenced us to get into the war. Is that not right?
I didn't see that New York Times story. I think the question I asked at the committee, which is the question that I think is important, I asked this of the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and then asked to see if DNI director Gabbard agreed, was what motivated our decision about protecting the United States of America, that we made our decision, or was it because some had reported because we were, pushed into it by Israel or any other country? The answer was, no, this is a decision we made to protect the interests of the United States of America.
And it seems like we were pushed into it by Israel, though.
Everything I've seen, or was it because what motivated DNI director Gabbard, and that I think is important I asked this of the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and then asked to see if DNI director Gabbard agreed, was what motivated our decision about protecting the United States of America, that we made our decision, or was it because some had reported because we were pushed into it by Israel or any other country? The answer was, no, this is a decision we made to protect the interests of the United States of America.
Wait, is he saying Tulsi Gabbard said that? Or, because he listed two people. The fuck? No. Is he saying Gabbard said that?
And it seems like we were pushed into it by Israel, though.
Or he's saying
everything I've seen on a classified side reinforces that. But of course, by the way, we talk.
And it seems like we were pushed into it by Israel, though.
Everything I've seen on a classified side reinforces that.
Reinforces that this. Wait, I thought he just said that they didn't have clear information though about us needing to go to war.
that it wasn't.
That it wasn't what?
That Israel didn't, is what he's saying. Everything he's seen says that the United States did it themselves.
Reinforces that there was like strong U.S. interest to go there. Yeah, but I don't know. But what is it though? It sounded like earlier he was saying he didn't have that information or didn't know that.
But of course, by the way, we talk.
So you hadn't seen though that you didn't know that Bibi Netanyahu was in the Situation Room making a pitch to Trump on this war.
I'm not invited to the Situation Room.
What am I doing? What?
I would think that on the classified side, the Intelligence Committee, like you guys would know that a foreign government was briefing the president on why he should enter a war, right?
No, Article 1 and Article 2. Obviously, Article 1, the Congress.
Okay. Yeah,
we've got a classified place where we go, where we get briefed.
Sure.
The White House is, a different article of the Constitution. They do their own thing, as you know. But it's very common to share intelligence with our allies. So if you're telling me if we were doing intelligence sharing and strategic sharing as we do with our allies all the time, would be completely.
That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm saying that Bibi encouraged Trump to get into the war. I think that's just a fact, isn't it?
I wasn't there.
Why do people what are these answers? I don't know. I wasn't there. Nobody is saying that you were there. This guy might be mentally challenged. This guy might actually be cognitively deficient or something. He's retardation or something. I don't even know. I don't think I would be able to do this interview. I don't know how I would even respond after that. The guy that was murdering your best friend and stabbed him 20 times with a knife, he really hated your friend, didn't he? I don't know. I can't read his mind. Oh. Well, he had a huge knife, and then he showed up with, tourniquets and extra guns and everything. He must have been preparing for a while for this attack. I don't know. I wasn't with him. Okay, well, you were, what? I don't know these answers. I don't know how you would engage with this.
I think that's just a fact, isn't it?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no idea what was.
Do you think that we would be in the war if Bibi was against it?
Do I think that we thought that?
I don't know, bro.
It was a national interest for the United States of America to get involved here, which to protect America's national interests. Absolutely.
You think we would have gone alone? You think we would have done this war alone without Bibi's?
Again, you're asking me questions that I don't know the answer to.
Well,
I know what I asked. I know what I asked the head of the CIA, and I know what I asked the director of national intelligence.
Well, you also said you can't trust the director of national intelligence, so I'm not that surprised that she would lie to you.
Director, but it comports with.
I mean, if he actually has no knowledge of the event in question, what should he say? I mean, if he's saying that he feels like there is a compelling reason for the United States to enter this war, and he's part of the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives in the United States Congress, and now he's finding out via a New York Times article that a foreign leader was in the White House making the argument for why we should go to war, and he had no knowledge of that, that should bother him. He should say, oh shit, that's really important information. I'm pretty upset that I didn't have access to that at the time.
What I've been briefed on, but it was the only public setting. The reason I asked that in a public setting is because we don't ever get a public, as you probably know. There's only we don't often get a public setting to ask questions. Most of the stuff we do is in a classified setting below ground. It's not public.
I think one thing, like we both are, I'm concerned about the increasing anti-Semitism in this country. I know you are. You've talked about it, and I just and so it worries me. Like I think that an average American.
That's why I'm not on Piker's. That's why I'm not on Piker's show and on yours.
Okay, we can talk about that next. I think that an average American would look at this war that we're in and say, I don't understand what our direct interest is. It's costing me more at the pump. We were not responding to a recent terror attack on us from Iran. Obviously, Iran's been attacking us for a long time through proxies. But like, if you're just an average American, you're like, I don't understand why we're doing this. I hear that Bibi Netanyahu was encouraging Trump to do it. I don't think that it's crazy for regular people to look at this in this country and say, okay, I mean, it seems like Israel was influencing us to get into this war, and I don't know why we can't just say that. I think it creates distrust when we can't just say what is true. Like that's just true.
Tim, how do you know? But you're just asserting what you just did is exactly what I have a problem with. You are basing something on like. We have no facts that you know that you weren't in the room.
I mean, you think the New York Times is wrong? There was a February 11th meeting in the Situation Room. Bibi was in the Situation Room. You don't think you think that's fake news?
Do I think the president and the prime minister have met and talked about Iran many times over the?
Oh my God, dude, this guy should just be a Republican. He's got like all the Republican talking points on lock. Holy shit! Like, oh, now it's illegal for the president to talk to a world leader? He can't do that? Oh, I'm sure they spoke about it. I'm sure it came up.
Years like President Biden did with the prime minister, like President Obama did with the prime minister. Going back like to the beginning of time, do I think people have talked about these threats together, our allies? Absolutely. Do I know?
He didn't talk to any other allies. He didn't talk to Japan. He didn't talk to Europe.
Do I know like actually what caused the decision? No, and by the way, the New York Times doesn't know, and the only people who know were people who were like in the decision inner circle about what actually made them make the decision.
Seems like Bibi was in the decision inner circle. No, they planned it together.
When we have gone into other conflicts before, like Obama did, like Biden just did. Like, do you think that he didn't have consultation with our allies?
Of course he did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why people why we can't just say this. Why we can't just say it's true.
There's a huge difference between saying somebody made us do it, they pushed us into it, versus saying, sure, we consulted with our allies and we thought it was what's best for America's national security.
Ally.
What else would you call it? Besides pushed us into it or encouraged him, influenced, what else would you call it? Like he was in the Situation Room making a pitch on the war 2 weeks before it started. What else would you call that?
I think many presidents, I know because I worked for a president, I think many presidents have met with world leaders and talked about whether or not we should get involved in something or not, if it was good for their national interests, but most importantly for America's national interests. And I think just because they had a meeting in the Situation Room,
It's just a meeting, bro.
so big deal.
And it's a pretty big deal. We started a war that Donald Trump said he was running against the war. He said no war with Iran. He did not lay a predicate for the war. There was not
So
an
you're just saying,
imminent
so
threat.
he was like, listen, you got to do this. So your view is like, they just made us do it and we did it?
I didn't say made. No, you said made. I didn't say that.
What
What
did
I
you
said is that I think that Bibi pitched. I think Trump was high on his own supply after Venezuela, and he thought this is easy to do this.
Probably.
And I
Okay.
think that the
As
Bibi
in Trump's there, yeah.
yeah. And I think he's like, this is easy, doing these little regime change things. This is fun. This is a lot easier than getting things passed through Congress. I got to deal with assholes like Gottheimer. So this, I can be the decision maker. I think Trump's really hot on it. And I think the Bibi went to him and said, hey, these guys in Iran, they tried to kill you. We've got great intelligence. We've got this plan. This could be the moment. They're very vulnerable. We can topple them. And Trump said, hell yeah, I'm on board. So I'm not saying that Trump has agency. I'm not saying that he was tricked or something. But I think that obviously, like, this is something that Netanyahu's wanted to do for a long time. And he made the case to Trump, and Trump said, I'm on board. Like that. I just think that obviously happened. No?
I guess history will find out. I have no idea.
Why do you think he did it? Like, why do you think he decided to get in right now?
I think
he was president once before. Iran was a threat then. He's been president for a year and 3 months. Why did he decide to do it now?
Because I believe, and this is actually what hopefully we'll find out ultimately, I believe he looked at certain threat intelligence against the United States of America and made a decision what he thought was best as the commander-in-chief. Right? I think that's what happened. He looked at the facts.
You thought there was a threat? Like we had a threat? Like an imminent threat on the homeland?
I mean, Tim, you're asking me to answer questions that I don't know the answer to.
Okay. Well, you said that based on intelligence, that you said that he looked at the threat assessment.
I think you're asking me how I think he made his decision. I think he
Okay. So I just think that if you're a regular American, I appreciate
the military and makes a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what he did.
Yeah, this is just very. I understand. I'm sorry. I don't mean like this is frustrating. I just think that it's like if a congressman who is on the intelligence committee doesn't know why Trump decided to do it, and there's no tangible imminent threat, and Trump has been president once before, and he said he wasn't going to do a war with Iran, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, I'm going to go to war with Iran, and the result is that American soldiers die, and that people see a massive increase in their price of gas. Like, people are going to be like, what in the hell is happening? And I think that they would have a right to be upset about it, and you're not. Do you? Don't you agree that people would be people should have a right to be upset about that? If like you don't even know why we did it.
By the way, what I think what I said was you asked me like what was the conversation, what happened in his strategic decision. I wasn't there, but I'll tell you this: what I said to you was I've seen intelligence over time and seen threats from Iran and like where I see very deep concerns that people like me had. Do I know what ultimately made him make the decision, as you're asking me? No, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the Situation Room. This is why I actually believe the War Powers Act was triggered. I believe the president has 60 days to come to us to ask for an authorization of force or for a declaration of war. I think April 28th is coming up very fast. I think the expectation from all of us in Congress will be you will lay out exactly your objectives, your reasoning, your timelines, and your goals. And if you want funding, you will do the same thing. You either get an AUMF or you will get a declaration of war or you will get the hell out. And that's what I believe. And I think, by the way, where I started this conversation, Tim, was he still hasn't laid out clearly to me, to the American people or to the Congress, what he hopes to achieve, what a win looks like for the commander in chief.
Gotcha.
There's only one commander in chief. There's not 635 or 535 or 135. There's only one commander in chief. And so I say that because he has to make certain decisions. He has access to certain information that I don't have. Even though I'm on the intelligence committee, I'm not on I don't get access to all the military stuff. I don't get access to everything. The point is the president should come make the case before the Congress. His people should come make the case. They should go before our committees. They should lay this out, the answers to the questions that you're asking and that I have questions about as well, and make the case to the public. And so you're asking me like what I'm pissed off about? That's what I'm pissed off about. Are you asking me, do I think Iran, the government deserves, do we deserve to take down the government of Iran, this regime who's killed tens of thousands of their own people and killed scores of Americans with death to America as their banner?
Virtue signal
Do I
harder,
think they should
please.
get them? Absolutely. And that you asked me that as well. And I'm not changing my view on that. That's what my view is.
So that's the last thing then. So you're a gettable vote for authorization of military force if they came to you and
Yep.
said, hey, here's what
Yes.
our plan
Yes.
is after April
You would
28th.
do
We
it.
have another month.
Yep.
We need you to get funding.
Yep.
Would you be open to voting
I
for it?
don't do hypotheticals. I want to know what the hell their argument is. I'll meet with them.
You don't do hypotheticals. Imagine it's a job interview and they're like, okay, a customer comes up to you and they want a full refund, but they don't have the receipt. What would you do? I don't answer hypotheticals, motherfucker. Oh. Imagine you're taking a test for the bar exam and it's like a client makes blah, 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 blah. You know, what's the proper? I don't do hypotheticals. I live in the present. I live in the now, okay?
And understand where we are and get that information, and then I'll make a decision.
Well, not
that's
doing
what
hypotheticals is an answer in itself because it's not a no. You're not a no. Like,
By
I
the
mean,
way,
some people would just be a no right now. This is
Anybody who would
insane
just
what
say
we've been
no to
doing.
that, by the way, that is deeply irresponsible to just say no to that before getting briefed before getting briefed.
I
How
think
could
it's
you-
kind of. I would
that's
say it's
like
deeply
saying no-
irresponsible to give Donald Trump, who threatened to end a civilization today, 1 cent for a war. That would be what I would say is
If I
deeply
learned- hey,
irresponsible.
Tim, if I learned tomorrow they had something that could cause mass destruction to you and to your family,
Well,
I would
sure.
have a very different view.
Well, of course.
Right.
Sure,
Of
but
course.
nobody's even saying that's what they have.
Wait, how did this guy just get healed? This cat, how did he just get healed? Somebody explain.
That.
That's why I actually would want to do my homework and understand what our military has to tell me about where we are,
Lord.
what the situation is. Right?
All right.
And
I apologize. I wanted to do AI. I wanted to do
push the food under the enemy cat. The attack can push food. You can knock back food pickups.
Piker, but it's just I'm just trying to get to the answer because I guess this is the frustrating thing about this conversation. I do apologize because this is the frustrating thing. It's like we're in this thing and they can't explain it. And so now we have to kind of process their incoherence. And to me, I just think it's much easier to oppose it. Yeah. It's very upsetting.
And we've got troops on the ground in harm's way. We've got a strait that obviously is not under our control. We've got ships that are stuck. Yeah, I mean, I'm very pissed off about the situation. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do my job. And that's what I feel deep responsibility to do my job.
Fair enough. We have a rain check for you to yell at me about Piker and do
We get
AI
to talk
another
about
time.
the other stuff. Come on.
What do you want to do? Okay, we can do it now. What do you want to do? I got nowhere to be. I was being respectful of your time. But we could do a rain check. We could do it now. Whatever you want.
Okay, well, I have 5 minutes, it looks like.
You have 5 minutes. All right, let's do it. I think that's fair. 5 minutes. You get to pick. Do you want to yell at me about Hassan Piker? Do you want to talk about AI? I'm concerned about AI. I'd love to hear
I'm not
you.
yelling about Hassan Piker unless you want to say that we should. Are you a big Hassan Piker fan?
I'm not a big
It's going to be exclusively about anti-Semitism. I'm ready for it.
Hassan Piker fan. I think that the Democrats should have a message for their audience, though.
Are you concerned? And should we also go on Alex Jones and talk to him?
Well, I think that it would be probably pretty good for the Democrats to go on to some MAGA podcasts, America First podcasts, and talk to them about the ways that Donald Trump has betrayed them. Yeah, I think that would probably be good. I mean, you have to make a decision on a case by case basis. Some of these people are just trolls, but if somebody has to have a good faith conversation, yeah, sure.
I would not like to legitimize Candace Owens.
I mean, Candace Owens is talking about how Brigitte Macron has a dick and there's bees, a bee cult. So I probably wouldn't do that one either. But if somebody disagrees, then that's fine.
Do I think we should legitimize people who are should people Democrats go on white supremacist shows and say, well, they deserve to be heard because they have a lot of followers? No, I mean, we should have a debate with them because they're I that's just not what I believe. I don't believe you should legitimize people who are white supremacists. So I would not recommend that we go on a bunch of white supremacist shows because they have a lot of followers, right? I don't think that's a good outcome for the country.
I think it's bad if you let all the cranks align onto one side, and sometimes it's important to have a message for people. I'm not saying that, again, not legitimize. You can argue. We argued. You came on today. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with a good, healthy debate. But I wouldn't go on some basement podcast of some white supremacist nobody's ever heard of. But if there's a prominent America First person or a prominent far left person,
what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So there's a prominent far left person that could hear an argument. I'm for that. I don't think the Democrats did this with any favors by being like burn the witch when Bernie went on Joe Rogan. I don't think that paid off. So I don't know. I'm for talking. I'm a talker. I'm a yapper, Josh.
People to profit and amplify insane views that are deeply offensive to lots of Americans, and like that's part of my concern, is not like giving legitimacy to them. And if what you're saying is you just go on and scream at them and tell them why they're crazy the whole time, then okay, maybe like
no,
maybe that's
I go on and try to be rational, make the case. Again, this goes back to our earlier conversation about Israel. Like, I think you're giving I think that one way to give legitimacy to anti-Semitic cranks is to like tell them that they can't believe their lying eyes. Like, and I think that conflating, Jewishness with every decision that Bibi Netanyahu makes, I think gives ammo to anti-Semitic cranks.
I think the insane amount of disinformation that I see out there on a daily basis about Israel, about Jews, about different organizations is so insane. Like the fake
There's
shit.
a lot of bad info out there, no doubt.
Fake shit that's put out there on a daily basis, like, is so nuts that I don't want to give more credibility to people who propagate bullshit and lies and disinformation. And I think we got to be very careful. I think we got to be very careful with that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't either.
We're going to do AI next time.
We're going to do AI next time. Okay, it was your fault. You got to pick. I was going to let you pick. Okay, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, bro, thank you very much for coming on. See, having a disagreement across,
same
perspectives.
party lines.
Same party lines. All right, brother, we'll see you soon, okay?
Wow.
Late Tuesday night, President Trump.
What a guy.
Say you love Israel right now.
Fuck no. Hold on, let me just rest 1 sec.
This motherfucker's really gonna leave us with meows.
Hello, Dan. Hello, chat. Is Dan even here?
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay. Rip. Hi, chat. How you doing, guys? I'm just here I'm waiting for when Destiny comes back. I was just going to answer his question about the Russia sanctions shit. All right. Can we get some yees in the chat? Can we get a yee combo? God damn it. Fucking frogs. Oh wait, there we go. Oh, okay. Obamna. No, it's Obamna. There you go.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, hey, Dan.
Oh, hi.
Hi. What's up, buddy?
Are you here to defend Israel? Typical women.
No, not really. Although I could make a good argument for the Iran war, but just not fucking Trump doing it, because fuck that guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hello, Steven.
You see how he doesn't say anything? It's because he's rude. He doesn't
Sorry,
care.
hi,
He
my mic is
disrespects
muted.
women.
I'm here to answer your question about the Russia shit, the Russian sanctions, because I saw that you asked that earlier. I wanted to wait till you finished watching the video.
Okay, what's up?
Yeah, so Russia did not, or Trump didn't like lift all sanctions on Russia. What the first thing they did is they said that they took sanctions off of oil that was being sold to India that was already at sea, and then they issued a wider waiver, but it was only for like oil that had already been loaded onto ships. The waiver lasts until April 11th. We'll see if they extend it, but this was Trump like fucking panicking because the oil prices were going up after Iran closed the strait. Also, it concerns me greatly hearing that congressman talk about how Russia is America's enemy when I'm not sure if Trump thinks Russia's America's enemy.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know what Trump thinks about anything, but yeah.
All right. Did you watch the Caroline press conference where they asked her about if the Strait of Hormuz they asked her about how the Strait of Hormuz was actually closed, and then she was like, no, it isn't. That's a lie. It's actually open right now. Did you? I didn't see the stream earlier. If you saw that.
I mean, we watched it, yeah, but there weren't that many questions about like what was going on or the war or anything. So it's all just kind of been pretty goofy, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's closed. By the way, as far as I know, I haven't seen anything to the contrary, which is very funny. I don't know. This is fucking stupid, but
yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, is this Pod Save America guy gonna address their weird stance about Hassan? Maybe, perhaps.
I doubt it. I don't think they think their stance is weird.
Okay. I'm sorry. Their stance about Hassan.
Yeah, this is like an autoplay video. It just popped up, so I don't even know what this is about. Yeah.
Oh, it's an autoplay. Oh, okay. Oh, are you just gonna watch it? I'm surprised you haven't turned off autoplay, but
nope.
Okay. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else, but probably not.
Love that show.
What? Yes, me too. It's great. Also, Dan, aren't you happy about Hassan?
Yeah.
It feels like you just don't you just don't want to talk about it anymore. Did the yes honeys get to you, or?
They did. A little bit, but also I feel like any contributions I make at this point is probably like a little bit neutral or even having a negative effect. So it's just better to have like people like the fucking congressmen and Fox News. They don't need a fucking retarded Twitch streamer to be involved in anything. And if any part of me doing all that previous work, me continuing to do something could probably only harm anything. So yeah, me doing nothing is the smart thing.
All right, I mean, fair enough. I feel like you maybe did something to help, or you got Hassan's ad money removed. Never let anyone take that from you.
There's a lot I don't let anyone take from me, and I did all this. I take credit for everything.
Oh, it's based. Oh fuck. I guess like I'll Destiny. I got a little bit of a historical correction that I need to make to you about Nazi Germany.
I'm gonna go, but can you guys both thank me for my service?
Thank you so much. Dan.
Thank you for your service, Dan.
You're welcome. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I don't think it's correct of you to say that when you talk about the KPD and the NSDAP, the way that they work together, they didn't really work together in any meaningful, open way. It was more like
Yeah, I don't think I've ever
kinda-
said that they
yeah.
worked. I don't think that there was like 1 or 2 elections where they kind of did, but it was generally they were just both attacking the social liberal party or whatever the entire time.
They were also attacking each other, though.
In the beginning,
like
they
the
were
Nazis.
for sure. Yeah. But
yeah,
the,
like and later on too. I mean, the Nazis
well, after
did
especially
imprison
once
all the
they started to
communists.
especially once they got into power. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I think the real big issue was, or the real big thing was the fact that when the time came to potentially fight back against the Nazis, the KPD told the SPD to fuck off because they would not align with them unless the SPD, who was a bigger group, subordinated themselves to them. You know, kind of like what's happening today with the fucking Hassan types and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. But I feel like you kind of did make it seem like that, but I don't know. I'd have to find the clip, but I'm not going to harp about it. Yeah, it's just they didn't, Anyway.
Well.
Have a good one, buddy.
Yep. Have fun. Be careful. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Somebody said there was a court filing today. I think it's just another request from them for an extension or whatever. Yeah, basically. What's the over under on trial happening? I have no idea. We still don't know. Hassan's message to influencers calling out his lack of Kamala Harris support.
Bro, it's crazy. So many of these do nothing influencers on the timeline are like, man, this is all the people's fault. This is the people's fault for Kamala not being responsive to the needs of the population. Making it seem like I said Kamala Harris would be worse than Trump or just like Trump. On Israel, yes. But Kamala Harris herself should have never advocated to wage war against Iran, which she did. She
advocated to wage war against Iran. Okay, bro. That's just a fucking lie.
Never should have came out and said, we want to have the most lethal military. My criticism against Kamala Harris was that she wasn't representing successfully what the party's base demanded. And yet there's still people that are fucking yelling at me. Goddamn influencer. Unbelievably unproductive people. These are the people that see the world falling apart and they think to themselves, how can I make this about a fucking Twitch streamer that I hate? Please, I urge, not you guys in here are obviously
you're great guys.
aware of the situation, but I urge people, when you see stuff like this, just, tell them, dude, lock the fuck in.
I think they're looking for
unbearable.
serious about what they want to do. We're not just picking and
Unbelievable
positions because they feel like they look nice.
Unreal, guys.
Have been about it. I think
Shame. Shame. Listen, Lycan is special. You're never gonna, every take he has is just gonna be fucking retarded. I don't know what you want me to say about this. Did you miss the part where leftists and even a few liberals were extrajudicially arrested, beaten, and murdered just for standing up for their communities? Fuck off forever. So you're saying that revolution is not a viable strategy because it's dangerous? And then Lycan says, Natalie is actually one of the dumbest human beings alive. No shit, it's dangerous. If there were any out there and they were serious, they're probably not tweeting and showing their faces at protests. Like, yeah, that was the point. That revolution and all this shit. This is the point. This is my conservatives need to be afraid thing. So do these people. You don't want, none of us should want violence. Violence is bad. Violence is not good. You shouldn't be cheering this on or horny for it. It's not a good thing. What is this? Pop culture meme.
No.
Actress and comedian Nikki Glazer? What is she in?
How lame it comes across. I sometimes don't like to tell guys about this thing that I have where I'm like, you know, this is separate than the soulmate thing. Like, I don't care if a guy has a sexual connection with a girl and like he was to use protection and just have sex with her for a night. Like, I literally wouldn't care if my husband did that. I don't know why. I don't know why. If he were to like watch The Wire with her or like do crossword puzzles or like text up, but like send memes and stuff, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's our thing. Like, emotional cheating would hurt me, but like physical, I'm just like, I just feel like I understand how sex is for men most of the time outside of a relationship. It's just kind of transactional and it's just like they just want a nut and it's not about like, I want to spend my life with this woman. So it wouldn't feel, I don't know. I just wouldn't care as much.
So our barometer is no emotional cheating.
Yeah.
Queen.
Totally physical cheating is good.
But I understand emotional cheating. Like if something were to happen where I would want them to tell me about it, I would be obviously hurt, but I would understand being drawn to someone else that you have a good connection with because it's like, it's hard to, when you just find someone and it's monogamy, your brain doesn't turn off. He's still gonna be attracted to other women. He's still gonna like be interested in other girls and have good conversations and stuff. So I could see something developing and I would be heartbroken that it happened, especially if it went on without me knowing about it. But I would always ask anyone I was with to be like, if you develop feelings for someone else, tell me and we'll deal with it. Like, I just don't want to be blindsided. But if you want to have sex with someone else, also tell me about it because I want to like see what she looks like and like ask you about it.
Okay, wait, hold on. So do you identify as like...
Okay, I'm good. Fuck. More, okay. Our last Kalinsky video. I can't handle this much Hassan slop, but we'll try.
All right, y'all. I have to say, I am completely and utterly
ago.
done with Hassan derangement syndrome. Let me just say, as clear as I possibly can, if you are a political commentator and you have a take on Hassan Piker, do me a favor and just shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it.
King.
We shouldn't even be having this conversation. This hopefully will be the last time I have to fucking address this. But I am so sick. We're living in a world where Donald Trump is waging an illegal and offensive war against Iran. The outline of World War III is there for shit sure.
Hi, what's up? Mark the Muslim, you're on.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, I was muted.
Hi, what's up, buddy?
I wanted to challenge you on materialism.
No, fuck no. Fuck that. Okay, Jesus, huge mistake. Fuck that.
I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. This hopefully will be the last time I have to fucking address this. But I am so sick. We're living in a world where Donald Trump is waging an illegal and offensive war against Iran. The outline of World War III is there for shit sure.
Like, yeah, Kyle, we knew this. That's why some of us were enthusiastically campaigning for and advocating for people to vote for Kamala Harris. Why are you complaining?
Anybody with a functioning brain can see it. China, Russia, Iran versus us and Israel.
Is there any way to get rid of these stupid bad passives, or do you just have to get really lucky when they're at the house? Ugh.
With a hesitant Europe to fucking take a side. Even the Gulf Arab states now are hesitant to sort of take a side. You see the outlines there. The Strait of Hormuz is shut down. Gas is absolutely skyrocketing. Our AI bubble is about to burst seemingly any minute. We have a looming fucking global depression that's about to hit. We have war crime after war crime after war crime being committed on a daily basis. We have fears of a Moab or nukes about to be used in Iran. They're attacking hospitals. They're attacking schools. Israel is stealing South Lebanon right now as we speak. They displaced 1.1 million people. They're
Did we watch all of this yesterday? We just watched a Twitter clip. I think we just watched a clip of the start of this, right?
bulldozing their homes. They're seizing their land. All this shit is going on. And we're supposed to have a fucking conversation about Hassan Piker. Did you guys see that in 2019, he said this thing, which was really politically incorrect and rude? I don't give a fuck if he was having sex with your grandma in 2019 or 2012. I don't give a fuck. Why are we having this conversation? Why are we talking about him? And so we really had Hassan derangement syndrome hit a peak recently because on the Bulwark, the network The Bulwark, we had Tim Miller, who, to his credit, he came out and I think he had the proper take. He was basically saying, like, why the fuck are we talking about Hassan? There's an illegal war of aggression going on, and Donald Trump's a psychopath. He's demented. He's going to basically drag us all to hell. Like, he's destroyed the country completely. He's working on destroying the world. Let's grow up here and move the fuck on. Let's not talk about Hassan. So Tim Miller comes out and says that. Well, you have a right-wing Democrat, a diet MAGA Democrat, as I call them, Sarah Longwell. She was one of the founders of the Bulwark, I believe. And she was mad at Tim Miller, and she goes, well, we got to have this conversation on air because I don't agree with you. What followed was just one of the most frustrating conversations I think I've ever seen. So let me show you a little snippet here. Here's what she said.
It's like, what? We're picking this fight with him now? I'm just like, I could think of 1,000 other things I would rather Democrats pick fights about now. Like, why him right now?
Because he's making their life harder. It is people like Hassan are hold on. People like Hassan are making Democrats who want to take a stand against this war, right, and who want to probably take a stand against the way that Trump is just sort of like, you know, doing whatever Bibi tells him. They're trying to figure out how to do it in a way where they don't imperil the safety of Jewish people in this country. They're trying to do it in a way that is, they don't want to be anti-Semitic, and I'll tell you why Hassan is so dangerous is that what it does is it's exactly what Trump does. It's exactly what Nick Fuentes does and Tucker does. It takes maybe legitimate rage about something, and then it gives them an enemy to put it on. It gives them an out-group to blame for it. And I think you have to be so careful with that so that you're not doing that, which starts with condemning the people who hold the same position as you for reasons that are bad, for reasons that are hostile to Jews.
Here's where I disagree. Totally disagree. It starts with condemning the fucking war, and condemning Israel, and condemning Bibi, and condemning Trump, and being passionate and clear about it. Because then what happens? Then, if you have the credibility then with the voters who were anti-war voters, who were unhappy about the way that they see the bipartisan establishment, they thought Trump was going to be their savior from this, that there was this some blob in D.C., and no matter which party is in charge, we all get into stupid wars. They thought Trump was their way out of this. And now they're like, Trump's doing the same shit that all the other ones did that we said we didn't want it. He's doing it worse. And so now if the Democrats go to those people and go on those shows, they should be on those shows. Democrats should be begging Joe Rogan or Theo, whoever, to have them on right now. They should be on Manosphere shows being like, I told you, this was stupid. I didn't want to do this. This war is dumb. Our relationship with Israel is too tight. We should be reevaluating it. We should not be getting dog walked into this war. By the way, MBS also sucks, right? Like, you can do that in a way that's not anti-Semitic because it's what has happened.
He's right that the same fucking people who basically were like, oh, we messed up by not treating Joe Rogan like a special little baby bird and going on his show and explaining things to him like he's 3 years old. They're now in retrospect, they go, oh, we should have been open to the podcasters and the brosphere. Why wouldn't we be open to them? We're so dumb. That's how you gain the voters. You go where they are. Like, he's got a lot of people listening to him. We should have went over there. Those same people are now shunning the left-wing Joe Rogan. They're going, oh, I'm going to cancel him. I don't like him. He needs to shut up and never say anything I don't like.
Left-wing Joe Rogan. Nice. True.
And let me quote the worst things he ever said, but out of context, and make him sound like an absolute fucking maniac. Even though anybody who...
His quotes make him sound like a fucking maniac? Really?
He ever said, but out of context, and make him sound like an absolute fucking maniac. Even though anybody who watches his show for one fucking day or two can immediately tell you that the way they try to portray him is psychotically inaccurate to the point where they're lying.
Any examples of that, by the way? Any actual examples of that? Do you see how it's the same Trump strategy? Like, it's all of these people function the exact same way?
Are lying the way that they portray this man. So, Sean says, my main takeaway from this was the revelation that Sarah has a book coming out on how to defeat MAGA when Kamala lost following her exact game plan down to campaigning with Liz Cheney. Tim Miller is the only Never Trumper who has actually truly thought about what happened in 2024.
Like, what is that, 2 or 3 personal attacks basically on Sarah? Like, she was an ex-Republican consultant for whatever people, and then with Liz Cheney, the warmonger. Like, it's like there's no defense of Hassan. There's no engagement with anything Sarah says critically. It's just like all of these like pivots, personal attacks, never engage on substance because these people don't have any substance. The bleach has like rotted through his skull and there's just like nothing in there. There's literally nothing going on in there.
That's fucking incredible. So Sarah Longwell supported the idea of campaigning with Liz Cheney. Now she has the nerve to police the boundaries and the borders of the Democratic coalition, how about you go to shut the fuck upsville? How about that? How about you were dead wrong about everything? Kamala came out the gates hot as a motherfucker when her and Tim Walz were doing the rallies, and Tim Walz was making jokes about J.D. Vance, having sex with couches, and they were talking about how we're going to ban price gouging for groceries, and they came out hot and aggressive, and they went left. And at that moment, polls came out that had her up 6 points on Donald Trump. Then as soon as the Biden people infiltrated and the Never Trumpers infiltrated, and what happened? Oh, they softened the rhetoric. She stopped talking about the banning of price gouging on groceries. She started talking about having the most...
I'm sorry, but no matter how you look at it, the reason why there was so much energy behind her initially was just because the Biden debate was a disaster, and it seemed like things were hopeless. And then bringing in a new person, there was just a lot of energy around that. It was just a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, just because of everything that was going on. The idea that, oh my God, they were so popular because they were so far to the left, but then when they started coming back to the center, that's why they lost their momentum. It's so stupid. It's such an unserious, so stupid.
Lethal military in the world. She had on
nobody was listening to Kamala say that and think, oh my God, she really said that we should have a lethal military. I want the U.S. military to be weak and impotent. It's so stupid.
She started talking about having the most lethal military in the world. She had on, she was out there with Liz Cheney all the time, which, by the way, netted her fucking 0 voters, probably lost more voters. For fuck's sake, hello, this is the Democratic Party. Most of us lived through the fucking Bush years, and we saw the horrors, and we hated the fucking neocon warmongers, and your brilliant idea was to bring a
Remember, this is a guy who said openly that he didn't vote for Biden in 2020 and then made a strong endorsement for Jill Stein in 2024, by the way. But,
neocon warmonger and say, I'm with these people who you fucking hate. And so the fact that she has the nerve to go out there and she's policing it. Bitch, you got here yesterday. You got to the coalition yesterday. Are you kidding me? Okay. We also have this. It's Politics says, and people wonder why some Never Trump Republicans are not the best allies. Listen to Sarah Longwell. She came yesterday to the Democratic Party, and maybe she doesn't agree with the majority of positions of the base, like Medicare for all, taxing the rich, and decoupling from Israel, but she gets to pick and choose what people are in the tent. Get the fuck out of here. So here's another clip that went viral. Here we go.
Should he be in the tent or out of the tent is a question of okay, who is this guy? What does he believe? What does he talk about on what is a relatively popular streaming site? And I'll just give you a flavor of some of the
Here come the smears. Here come the out of context quotes. Let's get it.
Things that pop up.
I'm sure he's going to give additional context to every quote that comes up too. Please. Okay.
From Hassan's critics that I have seen and that I think are quite terrible. So America deserved 9/11, dude.
It's the CIA concept of fucking blowback is what he's talking about. No, he's not. Pro Al Qaeda, pro Osama bin Laden.
Okay, so you're just justifying the quote then. It's not out of context, no? By the way, it's a semi-defensible quote. I've said as much. Of all the edgy Hassan takes, you can defend it. But that's not out of context then. That's what he thinks, right? Is that America engaged in actions that warranted or that basically led to 9/11, right?
Laden, pro-terrorist attack against civilians in the United States. And the only reason why you're implying that's the case is because you're an Islamophobic hag bitch.
Oh, she's Islamophobic. Oh, that's why we hate Hassan, because she's Islamophobic. Oh.
His name is Hassan, so you think you can get away with a quick one by pretending.
Oh, that's why. Oh, because his name is Hassan.
He's pro-terrorism. No, in fact, on his show,
he's literally pro-terrorism. He interviews terrorists and sucks them off. He literally was talking about how based Hezbollah and Nasrallah were, and how he was talking about how Hamas are freedom fighters and blah blah blah. We've seen the streams, dog. Holy shit!
Talks out against terrorism daily. Okay, this is why he covers the genocide in Gaza, where they're murking civilians on a daily basis, because he's anti-terrorism. He doesn't want any harm to be done to any fucking civilians. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you didn't realize he's referring to the CIA concept of blowback. Says everything about you and fucking nothing about him. Jesus Christ.
On China, he says, we hyper-focus on the social repression.
He's playing Trump's strongest defender, right, for Hassan. This is like a Jack Posobiec or a Sean Hannity tier defense of Trump, except it's Kyle Kalinske for Hassan.
And fucking nothing about him. Jesus Christ.
On China, he says, we hyper-focus on the social repression or the civil liberties, or not even civil liberties necessarily, but free speech and things like that. But in terms of good governance, there's a lot we can learn from the way they perform out there. At least they...
That's just literally factually correct. That's like not even arguable. That's not even
ways, or not even civil liberties necessarily, but free speech and things like that. But in terms of good governance, there's a lot we can learn from the way they perform out there. At least they.
That's just literally factually correct. That's like not even arguable.
Okay, so that's the second. So you don't disagree with that one. Okay. You don't disagree with that one then. Okay.
Well, that's not even debatable. They have all these fucking beautiful high-speed trains where they built out all of the infrastructure since like 2008 until today. It's a fucking modern marvel of engineering. It's phenomenal. That's the shit he's talking about. Hey, look at the high-speed trains. Look at the state-of-the-art airports. Look at how their mid-level cities now mog the shit out of our fucking top-level cities. That's what he's talking about.
Well, in what ways? I mean,
you're trying to...
Like, in some ways, yeah, sure. There are European places that do this as well. But is that really... The guy who got the little red book from his state-sponsored CCP tour guide, that's the only thing he's talking about with regards to China?
Make some banal factual observation like controversial and unacceptable. This is the sort of cancel culture bullshit that all you idiots said you would stop doing after the 2024 election, and yet here we are.
And he has a lot of very pro-China takes.
Oh, he's able to call a spade a spade? Don't you know we're supposed to shut our brains off and say everything ever about China is evil and wrong and bad?
There's one that he says was a little bit taken out of context, but he says doesn't matter.
Okay, so that's another one. So far, nothing has been taken out of context. Kyle Kalinske just agrees with everything that's been said. Okay.
Fucking
evil and wrong and bad?
There's one that he says was a little bit taken out of context, but he says doesn't matter if the fucking rapes happened on October 7th.
When you admit before you do the smear that, well, this one's out of context. How did you let those words come out of your mouth?
But do you see why it's never worth it with these types of malicious actors? You can't make a concession that's going to never say anything, right? He doesn't actually care that she would qualify that, right? There's no point in hedging or qualifying. It literally doesn't matter because they'll still get you on it, right?
Oh my days. How did you let that escape your mouth? Well, I know this one's like a smear and it's totally out of context, but I'm going to try it anyway. Oh my God. His point was that wouldn't justify a genocide. Even if there were rapes on October 7th. That doesn't then justify carpet bombing babies. That doesn't justify murdering untold numbers of civilians, shooting people who wave white flags, starving people to death, bombing World Central Kitchen workers and hospitals and schools, okay? That is the most banal observation I think I've ever heard. Like, who would say, oh, if a bad thing happens here, you're allowed to genocide them back? No, that's not a thing. That was his point. I don't know why, like, again, people, they clip chimp and clip farm and think like...
Is that not what she is about to go on to say? Didn't she say that it's a little bit out of context? And does she go on to provide that context? Is that...
Like, oh, this is going to get him. It's not going to fucking get him. And again, all you have to do, and I'm not even kidding about this, watch one day of Hassan's stream. 2 at most.
There's a guy who watched Hassan's stream for 7 days. We watched that video.
And you'll walk away going, oh, they've been lying about literally everything about this man the entire time.
True.
Like, they're just lying. They're just lying. I know what he believes. I've seen enough of him talk. I don't need you to take these out of fucking context clips and play the gotcha game and you think that that's going to change my opinion on what I've seen with my own 2 fucking eyes.
That doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people can't contend with. Like the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets. I don't know what that means. He says Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel.
Literally, he's talking about math. How many people died on October 7th? Like, what, 2,000? And what's the minimum number they talk about now?
Like, so it's not out of context. Also, nobody in the entire history of the planet thinks of conflict like this. This is, by the way, well, I was going to say, it's not really a neo-Nazi argument. Like, everybody who wants to be a disingenuous will use this argument. But this is an argument that people will say, oh, well, actually, the true victims of the war were how many Germans were killed, when the Allies invaded, and look how many people died in the Dresden bombings and all this shit. Like, these are the arguments these people make. You never measure this in terms of just raw death. It doesn't make any sense. If somebody does I said this before, if somebody does a terrorist attack on your country and kills 5,000 civilians, you don't think like, okay, well, I'm going to go to war with them, but once we've killed 5,000, we're done because it's got to be equal exchange. Like, what the fuck is this? This is such a stupid fucking argument. Like, it's such a brain dead. I can't even believe. I don't even know why I'm saying this.
Like, what, 2,000? And what's the minimum number they talk about now on how many are dead in Gaza? 70,000, 80,000? In reality, I think it's like at least 200,000, by the way, for the record. That's what I think.
Okay, true. 200, yes. True, King.
It is at least 200,000. But let's go with the low number of like 70,000. It's a mathematical reality that 70,000 innocent people being murdered by the Israeli government is...
Even, by the way, even Hamas doesn't make that claim, that all 70,000 are innocent. Even Hamas doesn't make that claim. I like how Kalinsky's giving this as like the lower bound number when he's still exaggerating so much out of it. But okay, buddy.
A much higher number than about 2,000 being killed by Hamas on October 7th. That's the point. Are you now going to proceed to argue against math? Is that what you're going to do?
Oh, it's just math. It's just simple math. It's just math. It's just math.
Please try. Let me see how that works out for you.
On Hezbollah, he said, overall, what's my favorite flag? Hezbollah. Look it up. I'm not even kidding. It's actually a dope flag. It's got an AK on it and a fucking hand holding
and
it.
Tim Miller is laughing. Why? Because when you talk about something like this, it's literally just how a flag looks. That's a fucking joke, okay? And that's why...
What's the joke, though? What's funny? What's the joke? Notice how it's so funny because I said at the start of this, I said, I wonder if Kalinsky is going to actually give an example because nobody ever does. To Kalinsky's credit, he actually is going through them one at a time. But notice how he hasn't actually disagreed on a single example that it was taken out of context. He actually is defending or saying that all of them are correct. So nothing is actually out of context here. He just agrees with all of it.
Tim Miller is laughing. Again, what? Like they're trying so fucking hard and they're getting absolutely nothing. And by the way, don't take Hassan's word for it. There was an article that came out in the Telegraph, which they deleted because it got a little too close to the truth. And in that article, they spoke to Christians in Lebanon who were like, oh yeah, we got no problem with Hezbollah. They protect us from the psychotic Israelis.
What, like, you think that's the average opinion of somebody in like central and northern Lebanon? They're like, oh, we love Hezbollah. Yes, we love Hezbollah living down here. Thank God. If it wasn't for Hezbollah, Israel would be attacking us every single day and blowing us up and killing us. Oh my God. Well,
They thought we're going to go talk to the Christians in Lebanon, and they're all going to say Hezbollah's evil and wrong, and they're bad, and they're terrorists, and they're rapists, and they're this, and they're that. And they were like, oh no, they actually protect us from the Israelis, and they do Christmas celebrations, and they put up a Christmas tree, and they're all very nice to us. Like, again,
this is giving it's giving ABL energy. Anthony Bryan Logan, when that guy was like, actually, in the South, the KKK, you know, they brought my family Christmas presents. Remember that argument? Oh my God.
And like, I know that sort of the whole thing about being a right-winger is that you're a fucking idiot and you're incredibly ignorant about the world. But this is really something. You think you're in the Democratic tent and this is how you talk? You think you're in the Democratic tent? Please.
On Dan Crenshaw losing an eye in Afghanistan. What the fuck is wrong with this dude? I also dislike Dan Crenshaw, but I would not say this. Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because of some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their dick?
Okay, fuck Crenshaw. That's all I have to say about one. Fuck Crenshaw. But also, it was not out of context. Okay.
All right, y'all. New Kyle rule. You're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want to say to joke about how evil Republican politicians are. There are literally no lines when joking about how evil Republican politicians are. And if you have a problem with it, there's this little thing called free speech that I'm going to introduce you to. And by the way, as you're about to see here, Tim Miller is laughing at this one as well.
Because of some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their dick. On Israel being full of inbreds.
This is supposed to make people not like him? This is supposed to make people not like him. Oh my God. This next one too, this is another sad attempt at a guy. You ready?
You are left with a country that is packed to the fucking gills with the most inbred, uneducated, ultra-nationalist, rabid, Haredi population. On Russia's annexation...
Okay, so he's talking about the ultra-Orthodox, right? This is
an annexation...
Okay.
Uneducated.
A guy, you ready?
You are left with a country that is packed to the fucking gills with the most inbred...
A country that is packed to the fucking gills. Packed to the fucking gills. What does that mean? Like 1% of the population? What does that sound like when somebody says this country's packed to the fucking gills with... What percentage of the population would you just guess that as?
Uneducated, ultra-nationalist, rabid, Haredi population. On Russia's annexation...
Okay, so he's talking about the ultra-Orthodox, right? This is another Kyle rule. Sorry if this one offends people out there. You are allowed to joke around about how stupid and evil every single fundamentalist religious group is. No, you're not going to push us into the corner. You're not allowed to say that. I will say whatever the fuck I want about fundamentalist Christians and fundamentalist Muslims and fundamentalist Jews. Fundamentalists are fucking weird, dog. They're weird. They're fucked up. They're strange. They dress funny. They smell. There's a whole lot of... All the fundamentalists of all the different religions are fucking creepy. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. I'm secular, bro. I'm secular. People can live however they want to live, but I'm allowed to have opinions about that. And
All of them? Even George Floyd? Just kidding. What do you say? He might actually. I don't know, because he's an atheist guy. Does he say the same about any of the Muslims ever? Because I wonder if he would call that Islamophobic.
I'm allowed to joke about that, and that's what Hassan was doing when he was calling them inbred. Okay, like again, I'm so sick of the fake outrage. I'm so fucking sick of it. Where we have a demented president, likely has Alzheimer's, who's this close to nuking an entire country of 90 million people, and we're supposed to talk about Hassan Piker's jokes and be outraged? I can't, bro.
Annexation of Crimea was absolutely a justifiable annexation. What do you call Crimea? I call.
Oh man, how does he do this one? Whoo! Whew. So far, nothing out of context, just funny jokes and defensible stuff. But okay, go ahead. Whew, okay, Kyle, you can do this. Remember your Jill Stein endorsement, okay?
I can't, bro.
Annexation of Crimea was absolutely a justifiable annexation. What do you call Crimea? I call it part of Russian territory, bitch. I call it Crimea River, a Russian river. The annexation.
Look, he's joking. Now, to be fair,
he's joking. What do you mean he's joking? He's not. He's defended the opinion like a few days ago. What part of it? What is that a joke? What's the joke? What's funny? What's the joke there? What is he joking about?
Absolutely was incorrect with his prediction.
Oh my God, I was going to make this prediction that he would say this. Oh, but I didn't think he actually would. Fuck, I was going to say this. This would have been a pre-watch moment. I was going to say Kyle Kalinske is going to say that Hassan actually walked back this statement because he was wrong about the invasion of Ukraine. But that has nothing to do with this. I didn't make that prediction because I didn't think he would actually say something so stupid. It's such a dumb thing to say. That has nothing to do with his claim. It's a totally different thing.
The annexation.
Look, he's joking. Now to be
because it doesn't matter because Crimea was invaded in 2014, Kyle, not in 2022. Crimea had already been invaded. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say he walked back the Crimea joke.
Fair, he absolutely was incorrect with his prediction of what would happen. He thought that Russia was not going to invade Ukraine, which he was wrong, by the way. Pat myself on the back on that one. I kind of thought they were. I didn't understand why people were going out on a limb and saying, like, they're not going to invade. Well, then why are they doing the troop buildup on the border?
What do you mean you don't understand it? You're too stupid to understand your own side? The reason why people were saying it is because people like Hassan hate America. That's the entire perspective they have. So the idea that Russia was going to invade from Hassan's perspective, you can listen to stream, he talks about this. It was U.S. State Department propaganda designed to make people in the West hate Russia. That's it. It was bullshit. It was U.S. State Department propaganda to make Russia look like an unhinged aggressor. That's it. That was the rationale.
Right. So I think he was factually wrong about that. He would admit he was factually wrong about that. But this just sort of sounds like jokes. And I think at this point, Hassan, if you were to ask him, I think he would say, no, Ukraine has every right to defend themselves. And